Here's what the fashion industry does not want you to calculate. A silk blouse at Reformation costs $198. The actual cost of producing that blouse, the silk, the labor, the cut and sew, the shipping, is approximately $31. The remaining $167 pays for the aesthetic, the branding, the influencer budget, and the retail floor space designed to make you feel like buying is an act of self-expression. You are not buying a blouse. You are funding a marketing department. Now, here is what that calculation reveals. There are brands out there charging $31 for the actual blouse. They exist. They have been operating for decades in some cases. They use the same grade of fabric, work with the same supply chains, and employ the same caliber of quality control. They just chose not to spend the other $167 pretending to be something they are not. Here are 12 cheap women's clothing brands everyone ignores, but they're absolute gold mines. Brand 1, Uniqlo, 1984, Hiroshima, Japan. A man named Tadashi Yanai inherits his father's small menswear shop and decides to do something the fashion industry considers borderline arrogant. He decides clothing is not a fashion problem. It is an engineering problem. That decision became Uniqlo. Today, Uniqlo operates 2,543 stores across 25 countries and generates 2.9 trillion yen in annual sales. And yet most Western women still mentally file it under basics. Cheap basics, at that. Here is what that assumption is costing them. Uniqlo's heat tech fabric generates warmth directly from body moisture, a proprietary thermal technology developed in partnership with Toray Industries, one of Japan's leading textile science companies. Their AIRism fabric manages moisture, temperature, and breathability simultaneously. These are not marketing names attached to off-the-shelf materials. They are patented textile innovations that performance brands charge 3 and 4 times more to deliver. A Uniqlo AIRism top costs $19.90. A comparable performance layer from a premium activewear brand costs between $65 and $90. Same function, same fabric science. A $45 difference that goes entirely to branding. Brand 2, Land's End, 1963, Chicago. A copywriter named Gary Comer builds a sailing hardware catalog from his kitchen table. Within a decade, the catalog expands into clothing. Within 2 decades, Land's End becomes one of the most trusted names in American women's wear. Then private equity arrived. Manufacturing moved offshore in the late 2000s. Longtime customers noticed that decline is real and deserves acknowledgement. But here is what also happened. Land's End kept their Supima cotton lines. They kept the construction specifications on their core women's shirts, and they kept the price disciplined in a way that should embarrass every department store currently charging 3 times as much for the same fiber grade. Supima is a trademark designation for American-grown, extra-long staple cotton. Less than 1% of global cotton production qualifies. It is the same grade used by premium women's wear brands charging $80 to $120 for a single top. Land's End sells that same cotton in a classic women's crew neck for $29.99. Direct catalog, no wholesale layer, no department store markup, no retail floor rent passed silently onto the price tag. The fiber is identical. The invoice is not. Brand 3, Talbots, 1947, Hingham, Massachusetts. A couple named Nancy and Rudolph Talbot inherit a small store, stock it with classic women's ready-to-wear, and in their very first year, generate $18,000 in sales. The following year, they launch a direct mail catalog, distributing 3,000 black and white flyers to New Yorker magazine subscribers. That single decision, sell directly, cut out the middleman, reach the woman where she already is, became the foundation of a brand that is now 78 years old. 78 years of designing exclusively for women, not as an afterthought to a menswear line, not as a seasonal category, as the entire point. Today, Talbots operates 493 retail locations across the United States and generated approximately $2 billion in revenue in 2021. Their core offering, tailored blazers, classic trousers, quality knitwear, sits in the same territory as brands charging 60 to 80% more for comparable construction. The Petite and Plus lines, introduced in 1984 and continuously expanded since, cover sizes that most premium brands quietly abandoned when trend culture took over. Talbots never chased trends. That is not a weakness. That is the entire strategy. And 78 years later, it is still working. Brand 4, Boden, 1991, London. A man named Johnny Boden draws 8 menswear designs by hand, prints a catalog, and mails it to friends. Within 1 year, he adds women's clothing after realizing something the rest of the fashion industry already knew but refused to act on. Women are more discerning, more loyal, and considerably less forgiving of poor quality than any other customer segment. That handwritten catalog is now a brand with 1.8 million active customers worldwide. In 2024, Boden reported annual sales of £363 million, with the United States now accounting for nearly half of all revenue. Here is what makes Boden structurally different from every other brand at this price point. The 365-day quality guarantee. Any item, any reason, 1 full year, no receipt required. That guarantee is not a marketing line. It is a construction commitment. A brand offering 12 months of no questions returns on clothing is a brand that has done the math on its own failure rate and decided the number is low enough to absorb. Customers who blind-tested Boden against J.Crew and Banana Republic at comparable price points consistently rated the fabric weight, seam construction, and color retention as superior. The guarantee is not confidence. It is proof. Brand 5, Everlane, 2011, San Francisco. A former venture capitalist named Michael Praisman launches a clothing brand with one genuinely radical idea. Show the customer the invoice, not a vague sustainability statement, not a feel-good supply chain summary. The actual cost breakdown, materials, labor, transport, duties, and then the margin Everlane takes on top. A classic women's tee that retails for $30 shows a production cost of $6.50. The remaining $23.50 covers operations and a margin that Everlane publicly states is significantly below the industry standard markup of 8 to 10 times production cost. That transparency does something no marketing campaign can replicate. It makes the price defensible. You are not guessing what you are paying for. You are reading it. Everlane works exclusively with factories they hand-select and publicly name on their website. The same factories, they note, that produce garments for designer labels charging 4 and 5 times more. The fabric source does not change when the label does, only the story attached to it changes. Their core women's line, organic cotton basics, clean denim, Italian-sourced leather, sits between $30 and $120. Radical transparency turns out to be a remarkably effective business model. Who knew honesty sold clothing? Brand 6, Cuyana, 2011, San Francisco. 2 women named Carla Gallardo and Shilpa Shah launch a clothing brand, built on an idea so counterintuitive that the entire fast fashion industry depends on women never hearing it. Buy less, not buy cheaper, not buy more sustainably. Buy fewer things, made better, that you will actually wear for years instead of seasons. They called it the lean closet movement. The fashion press called it admirable but commercially unsustainable. Cuyana called it a 14-year business. The sourcing tells the story more clearly than any mission statement. Peruvian Pima cotton, a fiber grade reserved for premium basics at brands charging 2 and 3 times more. Italian leather goods produced in the same facilities supplying luxury houses whose entry-level bags start at $900. Cashmere sourced and finished to specifications that place it directly against labels selling identical weight and grade for $400 more. Cuyana's prices sit between $60 and $200 for most core pieces. Angelina Jolie has worn them. Meghan Markle has worn them. Neither was paid to. That distinction matters more than any advertisement. A brand worn by women who could afford anything and chose this is not a budget brand. It is a decision brand. Fewer, better, always. Brand 7, Duluth Trading Company, 1989. 2 brothers in the construction industry are tired of dragging tools between job sites and borrowed buckets. They build a better bag, then a better pair of work pants, then an entire catalog of clothing engineered around one obsession: function over appearance, always. That obsession became Duluth Trading Company. In 2005, they released their first women's catalog, not because trend forecasters told them to, because the women actually doing physical work, the tradeswomen, the farmers, the chefs, the outdoor workers, had been wearing the men's line for years out of necessity. Nobody else was building clothing for how they actually moved through their actual days. Duluth built it. Their fire hose canvas, the same heavy-duty cotton duck fabric originally used in fire hoses, appears in women's work pants built to outlast anything a department store sells at twice the price. Triple-stitched seams, reinforced stress points, a crouch gusset that allows full range of movement without splitting fabric or compromising fit. Features that workwear women had been requesting for decades and fashion brands had consistently ignored because functional design photographs poorly on a runway. Duluth never needed a runway. Their customer needed a gusset. She still does, and now she has one. Brand 8, Athleta, 1998, San Francisco. A women's activewear brand launches with a single conviction: performance clothing designed exclusively for women should not require a luxury budget to access. 10 years later, Gap Incorporated acquires Athleta for $150 million. Most acquisitions like that destroy the original conviction. This one funded it. Today, Athleta is a certified B Corporation, a legal designation requiring verified standards of social and environmental performance, accountability, and transparency. Lululemon is not. Now the numbers that matter? Lululemon's Align legging, their flagship product, their most recognizable item, retails at $98 and rarely goes on sale. Athleta's Elation legging, built from their proprietary Power Vita fabric with a higher spandex content for compression and durability, retails between $69 and $89 and goes on promotion regularly. Independent wear testing conducted across multiple reviews consistently rates Athleta leggings as superior in color retention after repeated washing, less prone to pilling at the inner thigh, and more reliable across an extended size range from double extra small through triple extra large. Lululemon's sizes stop at 20. Athleta's do not. Brand 9, Pact, 2009, Boulder, Colorado. Two founders named Jason Kibbe and Jeff Denby launch a clothing brand around a question the fashion industry had never seriously asked. What if affordable and ethical were not opposites? The answer became Pact. Every garment Pact produces uses GOAT certified organic cotton, Global Organic Textile Standard, the most rigorous independent certification available for textile production. That certification is not a logo. It is a verified guarantee covering every stage of production from raw fiber to finished garment. Now the number that stops the conversation. Pact's organic cotton requires 81% less water to produce than conventional cotton. A single Pact tee saves approximately 35 gallons of water compared to a standard cotton equivalent. Every item, every time. Every cut-and-sew factory in their supply chain carries Fair Trade USA certification. Independently verified safe working conditions, fair wages, and community investment funds returned directly to factory workers. Their women's basics sit between $14 and $90. Leggings, tees, dresses, loungewear. Everyday pieces built from a fiber that costs the planet considerably less than what fills most fast fashion rails. 3,900 customer reviews across their core women's range average 4.7 out of 5 stars. The Earth's favorite clothing brand is also one of its most affordable. That is not a coincidence. That is a choice. Brand 10, Eileen Fisher, 1984, New York City. A graphic designer named Eileen Fisher walks into the International Fashion Boutique Show with $350, 4 garments, and a single table. By the end of that first day, she had $3,000 in orders. Those 4 garments, a box top, a cropped pant, a shell, and a vest, were inspired by the Japanese kimono. Simple shapes, timeless proportions. Clothing designed to be worn for decades rather than seasons. The entire philosophy of the brand lived inside those 4 pieces from day one. 42 years later, that philosophy has never changed. In 2009, a full decade before sustainability became a fashion industry talking point, Eileen Fisher launched their take-back program. Customers return any Eileen Fisher garment they no longer need. The brand washes it, repairs it, and resells it under their Renew label at reduced prices. To date, they have taken back over 2 million garments. Not recycled, not destroyed. Return to circulation. A brand that takes back what it sells is a brand that built something worth taking back. That is the construction standard no press release can manufacture. $350, 4 garments, 42 years. That is what putting the money into the clothing actually looks like. Brand 11, Chadwick's, 1983, West Bridgewater, Massachusetts. A retail company called Zare Corporation launches an experiment with a deceptively simple premise. Take the same quality clothing found in department stores and specialty boutiques. Remove every layer of retail markup between the factory and the woman buying it. Sell it through a catalog at a fraction of the price. Nobody had done it before. Not for women's fashion specifically. Not at this scale. Chadwick's became the first off-price fashion catalog in America built exclusively around women's clothing. By 1987, they were delivering 23.7 million catalogs annually. Department store quality, catalog prices, zero retail floor markup. Today, Chadwick's operates under Potpourri Group and still serves misses, petite, plus, and tall sizes, the full range that trend-driven brands routinely abandon. The woman who found Chadwick's in the 1980s and never left understood something the rest of the market is only now catching up to. The catalog was always smarter than the store. Brand 12, Quince, 2018. San Francisco. A brand launches with a mission statement so direct, it reads almost like a provocation. Nice things should not cost a lot. That is it. That is the entire founding philosophy of Quince. The model they built to deliver on that statement is structurally different from every other brand on this list. Quince ships directly from the manufacturing facility to the customer's door. No distributor, no wholesaler, no retail floor, no warehouse holding inventory at a margin. The factory ships. The customer receives. Every layer removed is a cost eliminated and a saving passed forward. Now the number that makes the point permanently. A Mongolian cashmere sweater at Net-a-Porter retails between $250 and $500 depending on the house. Quince sells 100% Mongolian cashmere sweaters, same fiber origin, same grade designation, for $49.90. The cashmere is identical. The journey from factory to wardrobe is not. Their 100% mulberry silk skirt costs $59.90. Their Italian leather goods are produced in the same facilities supplying designer houses whose entry bags start at $800. Quince does not sell luxury. It sells the part of luxury that was always real, the material, and removes everything else that was always theater. 12 brands, one pattern. The women who already know these brands do not announce it. They show up consistently well-dressed at a fraction of what the room assumes they spent. They buy once, wear repeatedly, and replace only when construction finally concedes, which with these brands takes considerably longer than the industry would prefer. If this list changed how you think about what you spend and what you wear, like this video and subscribe to this channel. No brand deals, no sponsorships, no one paying to appear on any list here, just the research and the receipts. See you next time.